officer was arrested and fired in the deadly police shooting of their loved one. 33-year-old Tony Green was killed last week. Today, Zechariah Presley was charged with voluntary manslaughter and violation of the oath of office.
We heard about the voluntary manslaughter, but we really believe it should be a murder charge.
We have team coverage on the shooting investigation and the former officer's arrest. We began with Action News Jack's Kevin Clark live in Kingsland, Georgia. And Kevin, Green's family tells you this arrest is bittersweet.
Yeah, in one sense, they say justice came quickly, but wonder if it's gone far enough. Now, you can see the memorial set up for Tony Green here in the area where this shooting happened. And people say Green touched a lot of lives. Pastor Mac Knight tells me Tony Green will be remembered for his ability to make a joke out of everything.
He was always full of laughter, full of love. Every incident, Tony was going to make a joke out of it. He's very cynical. So I think he's going to leave a sense of peace and love in our community.
Green's family and others in the community continue to grieve nearly 1 week after he was shot and killed by Kingsland police officer Zechariah Presley. But there was a sense of justice after Presley was charged with manslaughter in Green's death. G.B.R. tells us Presley turned himself into the Camden County Sheriff's Office after warrants went out for his arrest.
They really saw that it was wrongdoings, and they wanted to bring justice to the situation as well.
I also spoke with Green's aunt, who told me that since Presley took a life, she wants him put away for life. A memorial, a visual reminder of the 33-year-old Green, has been growing since the shooting. The family did not want to interview on camera tonight, but Pastor Knight says there will be a vigil and a balloon release held at Tony Green's memorial tomorrow.
fourth time addressing the city council. On June 20th, again, Tony Green was killed by a Kingsland police officer. And since that time, we have sent numerous emails, coming to the city council to request questions to be answered. I've done what you all have asked of us to do as a committee, to put our concerns in writing. And still to this day, approximately 70 days since Tony was killed by a Kingsland police officer, no response has come from the city council or the mayor. So I have a big problem with that. And on Friday, I received an email from the Kingsland city attorney. And I want to read what he sent me. Dear Pastor Knight, please consider this a response to your August 14, 2018 email. August 14, 2018 correspondence and attempts to engage City of Kingsland officials regarding a matter that is the subject of an ongoing criminal investigation by the G.B.R. Apart from that investigation, the City of Kingsland has received multiple anti-litigium notices indicating the civil litigation may be filed as a result of the unfortunate. In the light of the ongoing criminal investigation by the G.B.R. as well as multiple anti-litigium notices, city officials are simply not in a position to sit down and have discussions with you or others that would inevitably lead to matters touching upon both the ongoing criminal and imminent civil litigation. As you know, with regard to the criminal investigation, Chief Griffiths immediately requested that the G.B.R. conduct an independent investigation of this matter, even though it was the first officer involved shooting in the history of Kingsland Police Department. Since that time, the city has cooperated with the G.B.R. and will continue to do so. However, in an effort to address part of your inquiry, I know that you can obtain some of the information requested from the city's website. And I'll end there. My response back to the mayor and to the city council today. I am in response to your email and your letter in reference to my email, a letter that I sent to the city officials of Kingsland, Georgia. You started your letter off by saying, I am attempting to engage the officials of Kingsland in a matter that is ongoing by the G.B.R. I am confused as to your response because I have never attempted to engage the city officials in answering or giving any details to any ongoing investigation. So it is obvious that you've been misunderstood and misinformed as to what I'm trying to engage the city officials into. I totally understand the ramifications and the integrity of the ongoing case that is under investigation. However, like I've constantly asked and inquired of the city officials, and now to you, we're not asking about the case that is going to be handled through the hands of the judicial system. What I am and the committee is requesting is a sit-down meeting, not about the case. I want to make sure everybody understands that. I'm not asking about the case. I understand you cannot comment on the case. For the fourth time, me coming, I understand that. Now you are relating that to your city attorney that I'm asking you all to sit down and have a meeting about the case. That's not what we're doing. We're asking for 5 things. Can we have a meeting to sit down and strategize some plans and procedures for moving forward? Not about the case. What are the hiring procedures and policies for the Kingsland Police Department? Not about the case. What are the procedures when an officer has red flags in their background and they are still hired? Not about the case. What continual trainings are done with the police department? And then the 5th one, what is the policy for coming to the city hall and asking to speak with the city manager or the city clerk and being told whatever I need to put it in writing? Not about the case. So we are still 70 days after the shooting of Tony Green by a Kingsland police officer and have not yet been informed of our situation. Sir?
3 minutes, sir.
Thank you.
Well, I know if the city council address me, I will address your issue what you about.
Are you a citizen of Kingston?
I am a taxpayer. Listen,
Are you a taxpayer? Please answer me.
Okay, here you go.
No.
I bought the city of Kingsland.
No, sir.
No, sir. I bought y'all some bag of potato chips.
No.
I bought 2.
No.
I bought y'all bag of potato chips. Listen, your charter
please
says.
leave the podium.
But listen, okay,
If you are not a citizen,
but your
a
charter, listen,
resident,
council.
a
Your
taxpayer,
charter says
I'm asking
taxpayers
you,
are
please
residents.
leave. Please leave. Okay?
I'll see you in court, dog.
Thank you.
By the way, your mayor is Yes, we're behind on his debt, and I'm about to file a warrant for his arrest tomorrow. See you, sir.
Thank you.
I'll see you in court.
Anyone else?
Yes.
If you are a citizen in the city and a taxpayer, you may speak in the city limits. In the city limits, and a citizen. I need to clarify that, okay? You live within the city limits of the taxpayer.
I'm in the county, not in the city.
I understand, sir. If you please work with us, this is what we have to work with.
Okay.
I understand, okay?
So, I can't speak, right?
No.
Right, thank you.
I wrote a poem that I would like to share with the mayor and the city council.
My name is Brittany Rudolph, and I reside at 157 Woodhaven Drive. Before I begin to list my concerns about, as a citizen of Kingsland, I first want to address the officers in the building. Was Zechariah Presley fit to police our streets? Have you ever heard the term that silence is complicity? A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything. If there are such law-upholding officers on the Kingsland Police Force, why have none of them been compelled to speak out? It is a known fact that in March 2018, Zechariah Presley was given a 2.8 out of 5, which is considered unsatisfactory, suspended without pay in January 2018 for reckless driving, fleeing and eluding police officers in 2012 before he was even hired as an officer, admitted aggressor of a domestic violence situation, countless citizens' complaints, one being that of an 8-month pregnant, 30-year citizen of Kingsland, whom said she feared for her life, that of her unborn and her husband. A traffic stop with Officer Presley resulted in the relocation of said citizen. His supervising officer is quoted in saying he needs to improve his judgment making. Even following this, a letter from city manager Lee Spell was notated in his account, "You will use better judgment in the future." To our city council and government, we are not the enemies. We are the citizens of the community and should be treated as first priority by the city. Council members are supposed to dedicate official time to problems of basic policy and act as liaisons between the city and the general public, protecting the welfare of the city and its inhabitants and providing community leadership. Mr. Smith, Mr. McLean, Mr. Dave, Mr. Galloway, you have failed the city of Kingsland. You have failed to show community leadership. Nothing has been done to establish trust and security in the community. No answers when asked about forming a citizens oversight panel. The transparency promised to us by the KPD has been a lie. How can we as a community live in peace when we are treated as enemies in the very city where we raise, our children pay taxes and live? It wasn't a road cop that killed Tony Green. It was a long history of systematic oppression and racism that has plagued this community for decades. The fact is that until Black lives matter more than white comfort, children in our community will continue to lose their fathers. Mothers will continue to lose their sons. Sisters will lose their brothers. Kingsland City Council, I hope that before you lay down for bed at night, you see those 3 babies' faces who no longer have someone to call their father. I hope that you are ashamed of yourselves as city leaders who refuse to respond to the cries of the citizens of said city. In Malcolm's words, we need more light about each other. Light creates understanding, understanding creates love, love creates patience, patience creates unity. Quit keeping us in the dark.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, Reverend J.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. My name is Attorney Reginald Green, R-E-G-I-N-A-L-D, Green, G-R-E-E-N-E. And I'm here with the family of Tony Green and also my co-counsel, Dr. Malik Shabazz, M-A-L-I-K-S-H-A-B-A-Z-Z. Let's get started. Okay, again, thank you for coming out today. We are here to speak on behalf of the family of Tony Green. We have been retained as his lawyers in this terrible and tragic situation. As you know, his life was taken just a week ago by Officer Zechariah Presley.
And while we are encouraged by the fact that the officer has been arrested and terminated from employment, we understand that the battle is just beginning for justice for the family. The family is interested in justice for Tony and for his children. It is our job and our goal to be vigilant in this process to make sure that justice is served. We believe that there are many, many red flags that came up throughout the course of the employment and hiring of the officer that were either ignored or not properly addressed. We intend to investigate this matter. It's very early on, and we are finding troubling facts. The more we look into the matter, the worse it seems to get. And we find it telling that the GBI, we find it telling that the GBI, within 1 week of their investigation, took it upon themselves to issue the warrants for his arrest. Again, that's encouraging, but we're only at the beginning. And you're going to hear from my partner, Attorney G.B.R, further on this issue. And we'll take questions at the end. Thank you.
All right. My name is G.B.R. I'm the National President of Black Lawyers for Justice. This is a work in terms of combating police killings, combating police misconduct. This is a work that we do all over the country. And I have to say that this is one of the worst cases that we have encountered, one of the most obvious cases. Before I get started, I want to take a moment of silence for Tony Green. And I want us to remember who we are here for. So let's take a moment and reflect on this precious life we have lost. And I think it's okay for us to say, long live Tony Green.
Long live Tony Green.
Long live.
Long live
Tony Green.
Tony Green.
Long live.
Long live
Tony Green.
Tony Green.
I'm here with his family members, all of his family members who are here, all of them. I'm here with Miriam, his aunt. I'm here with family members, Miriam, his cousin, partner, this is Miriam, Benefield, his cousin. I'm here with Wendy and his daughter here. He's in obvious pain at this moment. His daughter, Tony, and I'm here with his mother of his other child, Miss Velvet. He's here, Pastor Knight here, who's supporting us, and others, Bobby Worthy and others. Thank you to all. And let's get right down to business. This is again one of the most serious cases in the country. This is a case, Presley, obviously stalking Mr. Green, hunting him down in a fashion that we...
Thank you.
Justice for punch. 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 Justice for punch.
I expect the police department to pay for his funeral since they participated in the homicide. Put that in the record.
I'm sorry, I'm in your way.
Got one running?
Tonight, you're hearing the dramatic moments before and after a Kingsland police officer opened fire, shooting and killing a man after a traffic stop. It took just minutes, an altercation, and multiple shots fired. In the end, 33-year-old Anthony Green died Wednesday night. First Coast News reporter Nick Perot was asking the tough questions as state investigators worked to piece together what happened during those 6 minutes in Kingsland.
Good evening. As the Georgia Bureau of Investigations has only named Officer Zechariah Presley as the officer involved in this shooting. I want to learn a bit more about him this evening, looking into his background, how long he's been here within the Kingsland Police Department, and any prior law enforcement experience he's had. was unable to get that information, both from the Kingsland Police Department and the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. The message this evening is for those out in the community, and especially his family, to be patient.
This town is a very small town. Everybody knows everybody.
But tonight, as the focus shifts to one of their own officers involved in a shooting, Zechariah Presley, most of the community is silent. A trip to Officer Zechariah Presley's last known address to hear what led up to those fatal shots came up empty-handed.
I left there feeling hopeful.
Pastor Mark Knight met with District Attorney Jackie Johnson earlier in the day.
We will have the answers that we're looking for in the days to come.
The status quo of the last 48 hours since the shooting of Anthony Green.
Officer Presley, be the shooter.
Green's family and friends told us at a memorial Thursday, Anthony Green told them Green filed multiple complaints against Officer Zachary Presley.
I went down there to the DA office and filed a report that said I feel like he's gonna kill me in the night because he stalked me in the night.
We filed requests to the Georgia Bureau of Investigations and Kingsland Police Department for those complaints and have yet to hear back.
It's frustrating. There's a lot of tension, but I would like to tell the community, my community, black community, and the white community, we need to wait, be patient.
And we're learning the family expects to hold a vigil tomorrow at 5 o'clock, still working on a location. Keep it right here for the very latest. We're in Kingsland tonight. Nick Perot, First Coast News on your side.
We are covering breaking news involving a deadly police shooting in Kingsland, Georgia last week. We have just learned moments ago that tonight, Officer Zechariah Presley has turned himself in to the custody of the Camden County Sheriff's Office.
The officer arrested for one count of voluntary manslaughter as well as violation of his oath of office. First Coast News, we broke this news story within the past hour. You got the alert to your cell phone with a push alert about the arrest.
And the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, the G.B.R, issuing an arrest warrant stemming from the shooting last Thursday that led to the death of Tony Green. He was shot after a traffic stop in Chase.
Tonight, First Coast News reporter Hani Rodriguez is speaking to a family friend of the victim and learning more about this investigation. Hani.
Hey, Anthony, I had the opportunity before this news just came down to speak with Pastor Mac Knight. He is a family friend of the Green family. He's been the one talking to the media and helping the family through this entire process. Well, today they had their second meeting with the district attorney as well as the GBI. He told me earlier that they received very pertinent information. Of course, they are hopeful and are at peace a little bit more now, but he told me they are still waiting for a piece of key evidence in this incident, and that is body camera video that has not been released yet.
Tony can't talk, unfortunately he's dead. So that body cam will be his voice, and it'll be what really happened. Because the only person that can say something now is the officer, because Tony is not here. But the body cam will be the exact situation that happened.
Again, this body camera video has not yet been released, but we are going to be speaking with Pastor Pastor Knight in just a little bit here and getting his reaction from the latest news. We're live in Kingsland coming up at 6. I'm Hani Rodriguez, First Coast News on your side.
Hani, thank you. And tonight we are digging deeper and we are getting you some answers tonight. Newly released documents obtained by First Coast News provide an inside look at the background and history of the Kingsland police officer now charged with manslaughter. On your side tonight, we're going through hundreds of pages of his personnel file. The file includes a complaint filed by a man saying he feared for his life, believing he would be, quote, taken away by Presley and another officer, even claiming Presley parked in front of his home after making a prior complaint. Now, in his job application, several items were listed as things that should be reviewed before making a hire. Those included issues with domestic violence, marijuana, and complaints of yelling at people. Presley has been on the force since last summer. He had complaints involving traffic stops, including a woman that accused Presley of racial profiling. Presley has been placed on administrative leave pending the outcome of a GBI investigation into the shooting.
And as an officer in his official capacity, and what we're driving at now in our investigation is to affirm that this is the bad policy, the bad practices, the bad hiring, and the bad training of Kingsland and Camden County in allowing Presley to be on duty to stalk and kill citizens. That is the crux of where we are. And so we have good information that there's bad policies and there's bad practices. And now we have to go further. We have experts we're bringing in and so forth, but a full and complete and thorough examination of the policy and the practices of the police department are taking place.
Are you aware of the political repression that's going on from the mayor? By several of the citizens are saying that the mayor, which by the way is locked up in his office right now, refusing to talk, that is really carrying on this injustice that happened with the police department. He's supporting that. Do you have any thoughts about that in terms of the political repression that's going on in this town?
The mayor of this city should be out front right now denouncing the conduct of his officer. I think they fired him, but I say too little too late. He should have been fired ahead of time and Tony Green would be alive and we would be here in another capacity. And so the mayor should be stronger, but what we want the mayor to do is to join us in a full investigation and a full uprooting of the bad policies and supervision that is going on in his department. He has to overhaul and overturn his department because it's not just a bad apple, it's a bad system that is allowing bad apples to kill people. It's more than just Officer Presley, and Pastor Knight can tell us about that. That's from what I've heard, but he can confirm it because he's here.
Yes, we've had several incidents with these police officers. They can do what they want to do, stalking and harassing young black men in this community. Just riding by, parking their police cars in front of their houses, standing out like they're on the cell phone, blocking them in the street so they can't get by in our black community. So something needs to be done. And I certainly have had this talk with the mayor. I've expressed my personal opinion. I know the mayor personally, we're friends, but I told him I'm totally disappointed in him as a mayor and then as a black man. That you need to say something.
A black man over there?
He's a black man, and he needs to say something. And he lives across the track and do something. He lives in these areas where he has seen these police officers doing certain things to our young black men. And I think he needs to overhaul his entire department, from the police chief down to everything needs to be looked at, policy, procedures, the hiring.
Just to give our viewers from Jacksonville who have a kind of different system than what's here, can you tell us a little bit about how the police are they appointed or are they elected by the
chief of police?
Yes.
They're appointed. The sheriff is elected.
The sheriff is elected.
And the mayor is elected. We have a county. Camden County is a county seat. But in Camden County, it's 3 cities. It's Woodbine, Kingsland, and St. Mary's.
And about how many of that population would you say are black?
I would say it's about 65% in Kingsland. Out of the 16,000 residents, probably about 10,000 are black.
Are black residents?
Yes.
Yeah. And what's the median income over here?
About 38,000.
38,000?
Yes.
Okay. You know, one of the things I brought up, and I was dead serious, is the police paying for the funeral.
Yes.
And I'm serious about that. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, because the system impoverishes us and continues to keep us impoverished. And I'm concerned about that.
It's not even really a concern, it's a mandate. It's a mandate.
Okay.
This is a crime victim case, clearly. A crime is being committed. Definitely a basis for the city to cover everything. Because one of their employees has murdered a citizen. And they should be put in the entire bill.
I see we have some attorneys out of town. My question here is a simple one. What other civil rights organizations or leaders do we have in the city that have been fighting and that will continue to fight once these attorneys leave the city?
I want to say one thing. Attorney Green is from Georgia.
Yes, right.
And as you said, I'm here all the time.
Right.
And I let him answer. But I want to say an answer.
Okay.
I want to say that if the traditional organizations that you would expect are not here, guess what? pastor is. So whatever they're not doing, these, just like you saw Black Lives Matter come out of nowhere, it is these distinguished gentlemen at the time to fill the void of what you asked them for. They are to fill that void. They are here and they're doing it.
And I have talked with Pastor Knight, Mr. Black Panther.
And let's say this also, I want to say this about Bobby Martin. He's a Southern Georgia fighter for justice. He's there and helping to bring the right parties together. So whatever they're not doing is okay. But I guarantee you that these men here are doing it. And Mr. Muhammad here from Jacksonville, he's 30 minutes away. So it's a lifetime. Bishop. It's important we maintain a strong fight for justice here because the judge made the right decision. Absolutely made the right decision. However, it appeared that the district attorney was willing to accept Presley being released. And giving him the benefit of the doubt as we go forward, we want to ensure that there's a vigorous prosecution that cuts no compromises with the defendant. The family has testified wants stronger charges. Is that right?
Yes.
The family wants stronger charges. And certainly, like in a case like this, no compromise on the bond should have been offered. It is an absolute no bond situation. So I just want to say that we must stay vigilant because we don't want a situation where Presley is charged and somehow or another the conviction slips away. I don't think the judge wants that, and neither should the district attorney.
News4Jax is working to learn more about the Kingsland policeman who shot and killed this local father. Officer Zechariah Presley is now on administrative leave as investigators piece together what led to the deadly shooting of 33-year-old Tony Green.
They're doing the job. They're looking into it, and they're not just sitting there on their hands.
That's Tony Green's father. Right now, we're told the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is looking at video from the officer's patrol car and his body camera.
They're working to enhance that video. But what they can tell us now is that Presley shot Green following a pursuit and what is described as a brief altercation Wednesday night. News4Jax reporter Ashley Harding joins us live from Kingsland, where today Green's family met with investigators and the district attorney's office. Ashley.
Yes, this family still has a lot of questions, and we are working to learn more about Officer Presley. That includes his background here at the Kingsland Police Department. As Green's family still presses for information, they want it to be known that they do have confidence in the GBI. The Kingsland Police Department isn't able to comment on the shooting death of Tony Green, but the investigation is moving forward with the District Attorney's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Today, Green's loved ones met with both agencies at the Camden County Courthouse, saying they're sticking together as a family.
Our main objectives right now is to be there for the sisters and his children and with each other, you know, so.
Today, GBI identified Zechariah Presley as the officer who shot Green. While information about his police record isn't available right now, Green's family is confident answers will come soon. According to GBI, evidence left at the crime scene is being processed, as are the results of Green's autopsy. Green's family members wouldn't comment on the details of the meeting today, but spoke about their loved one.
He's a well-respected person in this community, and this community respected him as well. And he's gone, but he won't be forgotten.
Video from Officer Presley's patrol car and body camera are also being analyzed, a process Green's family knows will take time. Green had a passenger with him when he was stopped by the officer. That passenger ran away and has not been found or identified by police. And Presley's car and body camera footage is not being released at this time, pending the outcome of this investigation. Any new information that does come in concerning Officer Presley, we will keep you updated on air, as well as our website, news4jax.com. Live in Kingsland, Georgia.
What's your name?
Raquel Ordonez.
And where are you from?
I'm from San Jose, California.
Okay, and you said you've been to the crime scene. We're about to go over there. You say you've been already?
Yes, I've been to the crime scene 3 times already.
And would you explain what happened, if you please?
Well, the first time I went to the crime scene, it was the very next day. And I went there, I prayed. I witnessed the memorial that's out there for Anthony Green. And I also was very concerned because I said it's not even 24 hours and the crime scene is not protected. Now, if you have any criminal background or in criminal justice, you understand that you got to protect a crime scene. Well, the crime scene was not protected. It could be contaminated. There could be evidence that can be destroyed. A couple of days later, we went back out there again, and I was surprised that the city actually had, and I do have it on my video, my footage, the city's out there cleaning up the crime scene, and that's city dollars. How are you going to pay city dollars to clean up a crime scene that hasn't even, it's not even 1 week into the investigation? That crime scene should be covered. It should be protected. It should not be open to a cleanup like that. And God can only imagine what kind of evidence was destroyed because that crime scene was not properly protected by the city and the county.
I want to thank you for that, but another question I want to ask you, when you say not protected, did they have the orange strip that
there was no police tape. From the area where I went to where the area where the car stalled or where the car got turned off, and went all up the block where he ran, where the victim ran, up to the area. And between that point and that point, this officer has time to think about what he's doing. That's not no passion of the heat. I could understand if you caught somebody in bed with your woman, that can be a passion of the heat kind of crime, but this is not that kind of crime. He pursued, he didn't have to. There was no tape covering each point at all. No police tape. Not that to even show that there had been any kind of victim at that place, besides the memorial of what the people had put up.
And one other thing, how many days was it from the time it happened? You say you went out there and there was no tape, and that the city started cleaning.
The very next day, there was no tape. The very next day, because it happened around 10:30 at night. Right. So the very next day, in the afternoon and daylight, there was no tape around. Wow. A couple of days after that, the city was out there using taxpayers' dollars to clean up.
Okay.
And that can bring lack of evidence.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing that with me, but there's another thing I'm going to ask you on tape too. I'm going to give you my email address, and if you could send me the footage that you have, I will include it in this tape behind what you are saying to let people know what you are saying is truth, because I'm the Get To Free Press and I report what others ignore, and I believe in the truth, and that's all we want is the truth.
I believe in the truth.
Yes.
Justice and truth always.
And what's your name once again?
Just is just, and what is truth is truth.
And what you say you do at rallies? You say you do something. What was that?
I say my wings.
Power to the people. All right. Listen, I'm George Foster Rhines, and I was just talking to a young man here, and he was telling me something that's very interesting. I already know about other cities and counties and municipalities, but he has something that is worthy of being repeated. And what's your name?
Pat Patchett.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Patchett.
Did you say Pat?
Pat, nice meeting you. Will you please tell me what you just said in the camera, please?
Okay. Yes, sir. My stepson passed away in 2013 in a house fire. What you need to know, though, is that previous to that, he was never arrested, never convicted of civil charges, and yet he came here to this courthouse and they sent him to 1 year in the probation detention center, even though he wasn't in violation of probation. What happens is the district attorney and the public defender get together over lunch with a file of cases and they plea bargain everything to avoid it going to court. If it does go to court, it's usually 90% settled, and the judge may have a question, but it's mostly just an act for the public, as if the laws of this country are actually being enforced as they should.
So you tell me, so from what you are saying, you don't have much confidence in the system?
That would be an overstatement.
That's an overstatement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but you will say that that's what happens. You're not saying that you don't have faith in it, but you're just saying that's what you know happens.
It's how things really work.
Yeah. How do you feel saying that? You know, I mean, you being white, you're not fearful when you make that statement? Why don't you feel like a lot of, I go to a lot of cities in Canada.
I work at Missions for Canada, and I've learned there is no white, there is no black. We're all human, we're all struggling, and if there's any one color, we should all be purple.
Hey, and what did I tell you? I told you I thank you for willing to do it on camera. You did that. Yeah. That's enough. I want to appreciate it. I don't want to add anything else to it. What you said. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Where you live?
St. Mary's, Georgia.
Oh, you're in St. Mary. I gotta come down there. I've never been there before. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the first time tonight, we are hearing the dramatic moments before and after a Kingsland police officer shot and killed a man after a traffic stop.
So this is what we know right now. We have learned the identity of the officer who pulled the trigger in this case. First Coast News reporter Eric Alvarez is live in Kingsland to break it all down for us. Here.
Well, investigators right now are still trying to piece together exactly what happened right here between Anthony Green and Officer Presley. Now, radio calls obtained by First Coast News indicate that the police officers did not give dispatchers a whole lot of information that night. Right around 10:48 p.m., Kingsland police officers reported two men running from a traffic stop. According to the GBI, Kingsland police tried to stop a car driven by 33-year-old Anthony Green when he and another man ran off. One of the men got away, but Officer Zechariah Presley found Green near the Pineland Bank on King Avenue. The GBI says a brief altercation ensued. Presley fired multiple shots. Green died. The officers then requested first responders, but dispatchers said they didn't have a whole lot of information to relay.
Clutter is a three. There's a black male. Officers are giving us much information. We asked them what they needed a squad for. They allowed us there's going to be no subject for shots fired.
The GBI is still interviewing witnesses and has not identified the other man who ran away from the traffic stop. The Bureau is awaiting autopsy results from a crime lab in Savannah. Live in Kingsland, Eric Alvarez, First Coast News, on your side.
It was a packed house as people in Southeast Georgia came together to honor Tony Green, the man shot and killed by a Kingsland police officer believed to have been running away during a traffic stop. The now former officer is in jail charged with voluntary manslaughter. News 4 Jax reporter Allison Henning spoke with people close to Green who say they can bury him with a sense of justice.
Hundreds of people from across Camden County packed Refreshing Oasis Church this morning, paying their respects to Tony Green. The 33-year-old was shot and killed 10 days ago during a traffic stop where he ran from police. Kingsland police officer Zechariah Presley is the man who pulled the trigger multiple times.
In this kind of here, if you do wrong, you will be brought to justice.
The ex-officer now sits in the Glenn County Jail after a judge denied him bond on Friday.
A life was taken all too soon at the hands of an officer who is hired to protect and serve. Instead, he chased and killed.
Many attending Green's service wore shirts reading "Justice for Punch." Loved ones say today's turnout goes to show how much he's going to be missed.
And he never met a stranger. Tony was loved. You know, he was full of joy. Everybody loved him. I mean, he was an outgoing person.
As this tight-knit community moves one step closer to closure, his family tells News 4 Jax they want peace, justice, and unity.
It's time for the community to come together and unite together and pray together and stop all this hatred towards each other and stop all this bickering and enviness towards each other.
In Kingsland, Allison Henning, Channel 4, the local station.